the topic of crowdsourcing and news, we have the news that Anonymous has raised at least $54,798 through an Indiegogo campaign to have a dedicated news site on top of their already pretty well-known Twitter and Tumblr Youranonnews, which I do subscribe to.
Well, everybody thinks they can do it better.
Yeah.
And Anonymous has proven that there's a lot of things that they can do better than conventional media outlets, conventional, I don't want to say law enforcement organizations, but they do some, you know, some street justice stuff every once in a while. They'll hack into websites, they'll put big corporations and, you know, North Korea in their place. What they do seems good intentioned. It seems like they're fighting the good fight almost all the time. Again, this is an organization that is not policed by any, you know, government or authority.
That is what
That's
people
the whole point.
tend to be scared of the most is, well, who's running it? Who's at the top? That's generally what I hear from people who criticize this. But you have to think of news. I got in as a student journalist with the principle of the press being the fourth estate. And lately, that maybe has fallen through the cracks. So this at least has the potential, I think, to be a valuable fourth estate, the 4chan estate. I like it.
So, I mean, they are sick of, you know, CNN pandering to, you know, governments and corporations. They're sick of Fox News being so on the right, and they're sick of MSNBC being so far on the left. So, I mean, you gotta sympathize with a group that wants to do it.
Wants to fix that. Gee, does that sound
in
familiar?
a more pure way, yeah.
To a news corporation who wants to get rid of corporatists and pandering. I wonder why we like it. So,
but you
I
have
think
to
it
remember
at least
this
has a lot of potential.
Yes. This is not Anonymous forming a government. This is
No.
Anonymous forming a news agency. They want to present the news the way they think it should go. And I don't think there's anything threatening about that.
No.
You have to give them the same amount of credibility that all the other news sources that you see have.
Well, yeah, why should they have less credibility than The Blaze or Breitbart or what have you?
Right. If you're saying that because this is anonymous, because they have, you know, hidden identities or intentions or agendas or whatever, that they're not a trustworthy news source, well, you just put them under the same scrutiny that you would any other news source. If you want to believe it, go for it. If
we have a mirror on the mic.
Oh.
So the way I see it, I feel like in layman's terms, would be this is the people's opportunity to balance the scales, so to speak. Anonymous, that's our opportunity to like fight against these big corporations, big media who have obviously not been representing us the way we want them to represent us.
But I mean, I guess it depends on the scale of this operation. To who they're giving a voice to. I know it says stuff about citizen journalism, so obviously they're going to accept submissions from, you know, all over. But don't forget, we all already have that ability. Anyone can put up any news report that they want on YouTube. You know, for the most part, they're not censored, at least here in America. The advantage that this anonymous news agency has is how many people are they broadcasting to? How many people will watch this?
Well, I think that Anonymous has a voice, that they have their own brand of delivering, as I said before, a kind of news that isn't being delivered, that isn't being watched as well. Like they've talked a lot about the tar sands, and they've talked about getting justice for Rehtaeh Parsons. And a lot of this does slip through the cracks, and I think using that brand and using that voice and giving it a stronger amplification, I think that could be really important for the kind of news that is actually underreported on in favor of perhaps corporate interests. And that's why, on principle, I think this sounds great.
So we're thinking that stories like these slip through the cracks because the governments that control the media don't want them to get a lot of media time. And so this anonymous news agency would be one that doesn't have those puppeteers telling them what to report on. Yeah, and if you don't like the news, then you would treat it the same way as any other news outlet, at least, you know, because there are always going to be sites or stations that you trust and those you don't trust so much. So it is up to your personal judgment.